Midweek tumbling temperatures, when the first wave of cold air surges in, and how much reinforcing cold air arrives as we head into the weekend.
A new mission inside the City Justice Center.
I like to believe that I'm in a position to make more of a contribution.
Tonight, the leadership change from jail oversight to leading the flock of detainees. Our top story, a fight in Festus.
It is perfect for a data center.
We need to stop this.
The proposed data center drawing a sharp divide among neighbors. Thanks for joining us for 5 on Your Side at 10. I'm Mike Bush. Kelly Jackson has the night off. The debate is playing out right now in Jefferson County. Just hours ago, a packed crowd filled Festus City Hall as opponents of a proposed data center rallied outside armed with petitions and strong opinions. 5 on Your Side's Laura Barczewski talked with neighbors on both sides of the data divide.
Dozens of residents rallied outside of the City Hall of Festus and even overflowed the City Council chambers, expressing their concerns and even a few in support of a proposed data center. Nothing about the data center was on the agenda tonight. They say they just want to be heard.
Everything was done in secrecy, behind closed doors. The citizens have no voice.
It shouldn't be that way. This is a democratic process, and I feel like from the get-go, we as the residents, as the constituency, have been completely thrown under the bus.
Sherman Doyle and Erica Carter both live in Ashford Place, a neighborhood right next to the site of this proposed data center near Highway 67 and County Road CC.
It doesn't need to be around residents. If it is needed, it needs to be away from residents' homes. It's going to disrupt our daily lives with the noise and the water pollution, the sound.
I'm just thinking 20 years down the road, I don't even let my kid play tackle football in fear of CTE. Now I've got a monstrosity of a multi-billion-dollar company coming in my backyard.
Some residents do support the data center, though. Jefferson County resident and sheet metal worker Jim Schulte says as a union representative, he wants complex construction jobs like this one to come to the area.
These jobs usually last 4 to 5 years, maybe a little bit longer in the construction phase. So new workers are going to get hired. They finish their apprenticeships, and then they're going to potentially stay in this community, or they're going to continue to work in that facility.
Schulte says he thinks Festus and the county would be missing out if this data center deal doesn't go through.
This is our chance to be on the cutting edge of something in the St. Louis region. If this doesn't go through, then no other data center is going to want to come here. Other businesses aren't going to want to come here.
Reporting in Festus, Laura Barczewski, 5 on Your Side.
City officials did not comment on the proposed data center tonight, and those in opposition have started a petition and called on city leaders to host a town hall about the project. Turning now to our weather impact forecast, a cool but not so frigid January night. Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell is tracking another taste of spring ahead of our next Arctic blast. Right, Scott?
Well, we've got about 24 to 30 hours or so before the temperatures really start tumbling. How about that sunset this evening? Look at this from Richard. He shared this with us on our 5 on Your Side Weather Watchers Facebook group page. Isn't that gorgeous? He called it January jewel. We can't argue with that, right? Today certainly was. Tomorrow's a little more in the way of gusty winds. Wednesday's even worse, and Wednesday it comes at you in 2 different ways. Not only is the wind stronger, it's colder. Those temperatures will be falling on Wednesday. You'll need the scarves and the hat, and it looks even colder for the upcoming weekend. Right now, our temperatures have dropped back into the upper 30s to around 40 degrees. All depends on the wind. There are some more clouds coming in from the north and west. They're mainly high, thin clouds, so we'll stay mostly clear. We think at this point we're getting close to our low temperatures, and towards daybreak, we actually go back up a few degrees. And so tomorrow morning, we think we're back into the lower 40s. Winds will be out of the southwest. Skies should be mostly sunny early tomorrow morning.
Tonight, a man is in police custody accused of killing a woman and kidnapping her children in Jefferson City. The crime prompted an Amber Alert this afternoon. The suspect was found and arrested around an hour later. The children were later found safe. Charges have yet to be filed in the case. The St. Louis City Justice Center has long been a flashpoint for controversy, marked by riots, deaths, and claims of secrecy. But tonight, there seems to be a new spirit of transparency. Our Brett Solomon caught up with a familiar face about his new role working inside the jail to help change the culture from the bottom up.
Well, Mike, Commissioner Nate Hayward took the helm at the CJC in September, bringing 30 years of experience from St. Louis County to a facility in need of a reset. Since then, he has made some unconventional moves, including hiring the man who at times helped lead the charge against jail leadership. Inside the City Justice Center, the silence of the past is being replaced with new rhythm. Commissioner Nate Hayward says his focus has been on changing the culture.
When I first arrived, I had a meeting with all leadership team, and they told me this is the first time they ever had something like this.
Hayward is focused on structural changes, from strictly enforced uniforms to more recreation time for the 800 detainees here.
I have a section out for 2 hours, and then that group go in, then another section come out for 2 hours.
And that wasn't happening?
No.
But the most visible sign of change might be the man now walking the halls with him, Reverend Darrell Gray. Gray recently headed the Detention Facilities Oversight Board, regularly blasting the jail for lack of transparency.
I like to believe that I'm in a position to make more of a contribution to the health and welfare and well-being of detainees now than I was able to do on the Oversight Board.
He says the transition from critic to employee wasn't easy. He started in November, filling a chaplain role that had been vacant for years.
The detainees have gravitated towards me. They're asking me questions. We're doing worship service.
The commissioner says having Gray inside has helped mend the relationship with the Oversight Board, which reported 0 complaints during their last meeting with him. Detainees or residents are sneaking in drugs.
Yes, and that's something that, we receive intel from another resident.
While challenges remain, including a delay in new drug detection equipment, Hayward insists the friction of the past, like on-site brawls, is fading. Have you seen any of that since you've been here?
No.
Commissioner Hayward says they're still working to fill about 40 remaining correctional officer vacancies, though a new class of 13 started just today. As for the Oversight Board that Reverend Gray left behind, they are currently looking to fill several open seats. You can find that application on this story at KSDK.com.
Tomorrow, day 2 of a trial to determine the future of abortion access in Missouri gets underway. The trial in Jackson County revolves around the November 2024 election legalizing abortion in Missouri. In opening statements, the state argued the amendment voters passed allows the state to regulate abortions. Abortion rights groups disagree and hope the trial provides clarity. It's expected to last at least 10 days. The judge will make the final decision. Tonight, the state of Illinois is challenging the Trump administration in court over its deployment of ICE and Border Patrol agents in the state. A lawsuit filed today alleges the Department of Homeland Security has terrorized residents with a, quote, organized bombardment. The state claims agents have killed one resident and shot another. DHS calls the lawsuit baseless. Well, just hours from now, a landmark civil rights case will go before the U.S. Supreme Court. The justices will hear arguments on whether states can ban transgender athletes from participating in girls' and women's sports under Title IX. 5 on your side's Melanie Johnson was at St. Louis City Hall today as activists joined a nationwide push to protect transgender youth rights.
Trans rights are what?
Dozens of St. Louisans are sending a loud message to federal lawmakers.
May politicians rise around our trans siblings in schools, in public spaces, and in their homes.
Tuesday, a pivotal day for sports, as the Supreme Court is set to decide if state bans on transgender athletes are legal.
Trans people are human beings, and we are human beings, and we have the same rights that are entitled to us from the Constitution of the United States.
Jordan Braxton of Black Pride St. Louis holding the rally at City Hall to answer the nationwide call put out by the ACLU.
I just want to support our kids and let their kids be able to play freely like I did when I was a young trans person.
The American Civil Liberties Union calling on groups across the country to defend transgender athletes.
I think we all remember what it's like to be 16 and just not feel seen by our peers or teachers or family members. And I think that's the main streamline I've been hearing from our young people.
Local activists also keeping their eyes on St. Louis. They are calling on Mayor Kara Spencer to uphold Executive Order 77, which protects the transgender community in sports and health care. The legislation defends trans children in extracurricular activities and gender-affirming health care.
I grew up as a closeted queer kid in rural North Carolina, and I had no possibility models around me. My life would be so different, not only if I saw transgender transgender people walking the halls of my school, if I had teachers and adults in my life who reflected my identity.
Despite an optimistic outlook, supporters feel compelled not to back down as Title IX remains under a microscope.
We stand up and we fight. We can't stand down because our voices deserve to be heard.
In St. Louis, Melanie Johnson, 5 on your side.
The Supreme Court will hear arguments on 2 separate cases tomorrow, and a ruling is expected this summer. Well, tonight, 4 vervet monkeys remain on the loose in North St. Louis. The wild animals were first spotted last Thursday in the O'Fallon Park neighborhood. Where they came from remains a mystery. If you do spot these monkeys, officials say do not approach them. You can call animal control. That number is 314-657-1500. City Health Department is expected to hold a news conference tomorrow morning about the monkeys. We will stream it live on our streaming app. Out of control.
I woke up with the most violent noise you could hear.
The crashing wake-up call on a quiet Massachusetts street, and how the driver miraculously walked away with barely a scratch. From dazzling fans on the ice at the U.S. Figure Skating Championships to warming hearts.
To be able to share that love.
The big points a former Olympian scored with families seeking comfort in St. Louis.
We're approaching the typically coldest time of the year in St. Louis. Jetstream, it's going to deliver the chill to us right on schedule. The big question is whether there's any moisture when that cold air's in place. We have the updated weather impact weekend forecast in 7 minutes.
That was some incredible doorbell camera footage tonight showing an out-of-control car jumping a curb, rolling over and crashing into some homes in a Massachusetts neighborhood. The impact sent the driver flying through his window and he landed on his feet. Police say there's no evidence he was under the influence. He told officers his brakes went out. No one, including that driver, was seriously hurt. With just 25 days to go until the Winter Olympics in Milan Cortina, last-minute preps are underway. The ice hockey arena, plagued by construction delays, finally opened its doors this weekend for a test event. However, some seating areas and locker rooms still need to be completed, and testing will begin next week on a delayed cable car project aimed at easing transportation to the mountain events. Located 3 hours from the Olympic host city, Venice, Italy is breathtaking in so many ways. In tonight's Journey to Italy, reporter Scott Swan and photojournalist Steve Rhodes explore the sights through the lens of a photographer who grew up in the floating city.
Wandering around to try to get lost. That's probably the best way to discover Venice. I go walking, just walking, and when I see the light, that's the right moment. My name is Andrea Perotta. Photography is my big passion. In the pictures, I try to see again my old Venice. That is very rare now. I like particularly this area because it's the place where I grew up.
You grew up here?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this reminds you of your
remind
childhood.
me exactly.
Yeah.
From gondoliers.
The gondolier represent the love of the city.
To carnival.
The relationship that there is with the photographer and the physical people has changed completely.
Andrea's photography is a celebration of the sights that make this floating city famous.
This is perfect.
But it's the quiet spaces, far away from the tourists, where his camera captures moments others miss.
We love tourists. We don't have any problem about that. But sometimes we need to find also some real Venetian life area.
life that we can all still see.
One of my favorite spots.
Thanks to the work of this Venetian, who still knows where to look.
So beautiful. 5 on Your Side is your home for the Winter Olympics, and our Corey Miller is headed to Italy next month to cover the games. Our coverage begins February 6th with the opening ceremony. Corey was also there as the U.S. figure skating team was chosen right here in St. Louis this past weekend, and he talked to them right after they punched their ticket to Milan. Here's what Isabel Levito told Corey about the closeness of the 3 American women hoping to sweep the podium in Italy.
If you'd ask Alyssa, she'd be like, I don't understand why it's a weird thing, why it's so strange that we're, not strange, but like unique or a big deal, you know? But I fully understand it. I understand we are such mature, intelligent individuals, and we're able to understand that we all have the shared goal of performing our best program.
You can see all of Corey's interviews coming up at 10:30 on our free streaming app. Just scan the QR code on your screen to download. Now, one of the stars of the U.S. Figure Skating Championships didn't leave St. Louis when the competition ended. Jason Brown stayed behind, not for another performance, but to give something back. At the end of his performance, like they do for all the skaters, fans throw stuffed animals onto the ice. Well, Jason, who's from Illinois, took those stuffed animals and personally delivered them to the families at Ronald McDonald House in St. Louis.
The audience is there supporting the skaters, and it's such a fun way to then pay it forward, and you know, as a way for me to just be like, thank you so much for the support from the audience, and like now let me give back to the community where that event took place, and be able to share that love with the families here at Ronald McDonald House.
The Ronald McDonald House, of course, is a place where families can stay while their children are in the hospital. Jason also spent the evening in the kitchen helping to prepare and serve dinner. All right, Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell joins us now with the weather impact forecast. We're talking about a cool down later in the week. Tomorrow, though, looks pretty nice.
Tomorrow looks really good. You know, a little bit of a breeze, but it's a mild breeze. That wind will feel a whole lot different as we get into Wednesday once the temperatures start dropping. A quiet night tonight. Most of us are getting close to our low temperatures now across the area. We're at 30 in the Chesterfield Valley, but still 41 at Scott Air Force Base. You see the wide variety of temperatures across the region. Part of that, much of it has to do with who has a breeze and who doesn't. But we do think as we go through the remainder of the night, we're going to see temperatures steady out. And then tomorrow, we're going to jump quickly back to around 60 by lunchtime. The breeze does get a little gusty tomorrow afternoon, turning more to the west. We look at your 7-day forecast, and you notice here there are some changes coming. After tomorrow, it's either around average or below average temperatures expected as we head towards the weekend. Low chances for any significant rain or snow, but the breeze. We're going to have a gusty wind around here on Wednesday and especially Friday. Those 2 days will feature the strongest winds. Here's your futurecast for tomorrow evening. Again, the day is dry. Tomorrow evening, there may be a few sprinkles, lighter showers developing down south of St. Louis, squeezing out a little bit of moisture as we begin to see that colder air push in. It really surges in as we head through the day on Wednesday, and more of it's on the way. We get our first batch in here by Wednesday night into Thursday. Then we get reinforcing shots of cold air taking us into the upcoming weekend. Looks like, though, with this kind of pattern, we are starved for moisture across the area. And so while there may be some clouds, there will be some clouds, there may be some snow flurries, but we're going to have too much of a dry atmosphere overall to really be able to kick anything off in terms of accumulating snow for us. We do think we have those cold temperatures and wind chills, especially by Sunday morning, that may be down into the single digits. There is still some variability here on exactly how cold it will be this weekend. I can tell you this, it'll be a lot colder around the Great Lakes and in the Northeast with this cold air than it will be here in St. Louis. 63 is your top temperature tomorrow. Enjoy that, because after that, Wednesday's a whole different feel as temperatures drop. Frank?
One night at the Missouri Athletic Club for the Blues Hall of Fame dinner. We'll have that story, and we will relive a St. Louis sports nightmare that happened 10 years ago tonight.
This 5 on Your Side Sports Report is sponsored by FanDuel Sportsbook. FanDuel is now available in Missouri.
Despite the fact that the Blues are 29th in a 32-team league, fans have always had a love affair with the organization, and it was love at first sight when they arrived in 1967. So when they celebrate like they did tonight with their Hall of Fame induction class, people got excited and they forgot the present record, and they should. What an organization it has been. Let's head to the venerable Downtown Athletic Club, where you will see Garth Brooks with Kelly Chase. Yes, the legend from the music world wanted to be there to see Kelly receive the True Blue Award. What has Kelly meant to you over the years?
I think Kelly's probably meant more to me off the ice than on the ice. What he does for kids he'll never meet. I just love him. He's the perfect example of someone who knows that they're blessed to be getting paid to play sports, and then he passes it on. So I just love him. I can't say enough good things about him.
What does this night mean to Kelly Chase?
Well, it's pretty humbling. I'm the guy that wasn't drafted and walked on and was always worried about making the team every year. And to be honored like this in a fashion where the likes of, Bobby Plager and people like that are thought of, it's pretty humbling.
Blues inducted 3 tonight, including the late, great Al Arbor. Before he became a legendary coach, number 3 served as the first captain of the St. Louis Blues. He played 4 years and went to 3 Stanley Cups for the note. Also going in, the man who had some big moments in the playoffs, Barrett Jackman. He shares the record with Bernie Fedorko for most seasons played with the note, and he holds the record for most games ever by a Blues defenseman. And the final inductee was big in the Stanley Cup season. Alexander Steen, the future general manager of the Blues, scored nearly 500 points in 12 seasons with the note.
We had really good teams for a long time here, and the connections you make and the friendships and relationships with everybody around the team, then you get into the coaches and managers you've worked with and teammates and everybody, and it's been the most special and rewarding time of my life has been playing hockey in St. Louis.
It's amazing, Bernie, Al, Prongs, Big Walt, Pavel was a good friend, and it'd be nice if he was still around. But it's just you look at those guys, I kind of feel like I don't belong.
City SC is beginning to ramp up towards the 2026 season. New head coach Johan DeMay had his first real day leading the team. Next week, they'll head to Florida for the official beginning of training camp. Captain and keeper Roman Berkey, as usual, wasn't shy about saying this team needs to start winning now.
Look, after two seasons that we had now, the last 2 seasons, if somebody didn't understand what it means to the fans here, what it means to the city and everything, we need to work our off, to reward them and give them back for what they do for us.
Aaron Rodgers is one of the great quarterbacks in history. Tonight facing the Texans, and this could very well be his last game, and it wasn't exactly Ted Williams' last at-bat. He's sacked here, the ball is out. Sheldon Rankins will go 33 yards for the score. And then check out the final pass of his Hall of Fame career. It's a pick 6. After 527 touchdown passes, Rodgers will likely leave on a sad note. His retirement is not official, but it looks that way. Texans win 30-6. This is not a pleasant anniversary date, but it's an important one for St. Louis professional football fans. 10 years ago today, we lost our football team. I was in Houston for the vote, and I asked Stan Kroenke this question. Stan, what do you say to the people in your home state who supported your football team quite well over 21 years, despite a below-average product and despite no communication from you over the last 4 years? What do you say to the people in St. Louis?
Frank, how are you today?
So those charlatans on the stage celebrated that night as we lost football, and it likely won't be returning. We did get a check for about $800 million for their lies. By the way, I'm doing okay, Stan. Thanks for asking. And St. Louis is doing fine, too. All I can say is go Bears this weekend against the Rams. We'll be right back.
Well, if you missed it in the theaters, you can now watch an inspirational story based and filmed here in St. Louis, right in your own living room. Soul on Fire dropped on Netflix 4 days ago, and it's quickly climbing the charts. Joe Courtney, who portrays St. Louis native John O'Leary in the film, shared on social media that it's already #2 on the platform. The film is based on John O'Leary's best-selling memoir about overcoming a nearly deadly fire and becoming a motivational speaker and author. The Hollywood Awards season is in full swing. Right now on our free streaming app, 5 on Your Side's Laura Barczewski and our resident film guru, Tarek Khan, break down the big winners from last night's Golden Globes. How St. Louis native Nikki Glazer did as host, and a look ahead to the Oscar nominations. To watch, just scan the QR code on your screen. And there you have it, 5 on Your Side at 10. We're always streaming on your phone and smart TV. Don't forget to start your day with Today in St. Louis, beginning at 5 a.m.